There was something you couldn't get off of your mind. You had recently heard about the attacks in UA, and there was a lot of talk about the safety of the students. Recently, the proposal to turn this high school into a boarding school was currently a hot topic among the school. Why, Enchan? Did you know you have a really cute side to you? Uraraka asked lovingly, hugging your arms to her chest and snapping you out of your thoughts. Oh, really? He questioned shyly, surprised at the sudden contact. You were so lost in the rumination that you had forgotten that you were walking with other people at the moment. You were with your new friends, and they would often compliment you, but doing so in front of Todoroki was a little embarrassing. Yes, she spoke, and you smiled at her cheeriness. Sometimes you space out a lot, but I find it really cute. What? You laughed. How's that cute? Just the way you stare off into the scenery, she pointed out. And the look you have when you're so deep in thought. It's really mysterious. Wouldn't you say so, Tarikan? Your eyes then turned to the tall red and white-haired male, who was on the opposite side of the group. He had been quiet all this time. Unlike usual, he couldn't really gauge his emotions. You watched Todoroki blankly stare at you, before he looked away at the scenery. Yeah, I suppose. And then you felt it. It was a small fluttering feeling in your chest. It was an unusual tightness. A combination of what you usually felt as nervousness and affection. It was the same one you'd feel whenever you thought about him. But this time, it wasn't you who was feeling that way. Was it really Todoroki? It was a very brief feeling, but it was enough for you to look away in embarrassment. What exactly was that just now? You couldn't control how your face flushed, and you noticed the way Uraraka stared at your reaction intently. No one else had caught it besides you, but she was giving you a knowing smile, the pink dusted in her own cheeks excitedly. Looking away, you sat quiet as Ira, Midoriya, and Uraraka talked amongst themselves. Todoroki, too, was quiet, but it wasn't a strange thing from him. Actually, it wasn't a strange thing for either of you to not talk much, so no one had questioned the growing tension between the two of you. Hey, I suddenly had a thought, Uraraka then said. I wanna go shopping all of a sudden. I need the two guys to carry my bags for me. Huh? Midoriya asked, confused. But didn't we just go yesterday? He was suddenly cut off when the brown-haired girl covered his mouth. I need more stuff, and it's pretty urgent, actually. Oh, well, I guess we can go right now, you said, a bit caught off guard her sudden proposal. I don't want to bother you, though. I'm sure you're busy with your classwork. You watched as she hooked her arms with Ida and Midoriya, giving you a bright, beaming smile. Just these two are all I need to go shopping with. Oh, and Todoroki doesn't need to come either. I'm not following along, Ida said uncomfortably, adjusting his glasses to her change of attitude. What is it that you need that will require the both of us? I'll tell you all later, she said as she pulled the boys by the elbow, the confusion evident on both of their faces. Make sure you walk her all the way home, Todoroki. I'll see you guys tomorrow. With that, the two boys were dragged away, and you were left alone with the half-and-half boy. You may be quiet, but you weren't oblivious. With the look she'd given you earlier, you knew Uraraka had done this on purpose. When you glanced at Todoroki, though, it seemed as if he was really confused, just by reading his own emotions. And with a quiet sigh of relief knowing that he didn't quite understand what had just happened, Uraraka was pretty observant. And you had never told her anything about Todoroki being your soulmate. With how you acted around him, she obviously suspected things. Especially with how she gave you a wink after walking away with everyone else. That was certainly strange. Todoroki spoke, as he reverted back to his regular emotions. Yeah, it was. You agreed, and then continued your walk with him. It had been a while since you two had walked alone like this, and it made you a little more nervous than usual. Although it felt pretty nostalgic. You had met him a few months ago. It was now early winter, with dry cold air sending your body into a slight shiver. It seemed that you were a bit underdressed, not changing the water this morning and forgetting to bring a scarf. You hid how you felt though, and continued to talk with Todoroki like it was no big deal. It was quiet again, and you wondered what kind of conversation you'd be having if you were Uraraka, or anyone else. You wondered if Todoroki minded the silence, or if he preferred someone more talkative. As you stared ahead, focusing on the environment, you didn't notice his duochromatic eyes on your form. You didn't notice the way he gazed at you softly, wondering what was going on as you dazed off into your own thoughts like that. You didn't notice how he felt a sudden jab in his chest from you, absorbing all of your emotions as if they were his own. You were but a beautiful mystery to him. Ellen? He then suddenly said, You turned to look at him. His eyes were semi-wide in surprise, as if he didn't realize that he had just called out your name automatically. He started, and looked away sheepishly. It was also a mystery to you, as he had just closed off all of his emotions right then. You're not cold, right? You blinked in response. Did he sense that you were cold? It's a little chilly, I guess. It's a given, since the temperature suddenly dropped, he replied, as his feet halted. You followed his lead and stopped walking as well, staring at him curiously. You watched as his fingers untangled the scarf around his neck. You could barely react as you then saw the red scarf wrap itself around your shoulders, his hands awkwardly tying the fabric on your neck. The Reiki-kun? He questioned. Maybe it was the warmth that lingered in his own scarf, but a sudden heat had risen into your body. You felt a little more shy now, realizing that he had given you his piece of clothing that smelled exactly like him. You looked cold, he said simply, and your heart ached, beating faster than usual. He felt it too, from the way his eyes widened slightly. Looking away, he then started to walk off, and you followed his lead once more. You two drifted into another silence. As you stared at him closely, his face held his usual aloof expression. But his emotions were out of the bag this time, as if you were unable to control them. He felt nervous too, butterflies dancing around in your stomach. You weren't sure if it was you or him, or maybe a combination of both, but it was enough to make you smile in delight. A certain warmth now filling your body entirely. The gesture was simple enough, but it really did feel like you two were making progress. After some time had passed, you were now waiting at the train station with him. You watched as everybody scurried around, trying to hop on their own trains, in order to reach their own destinations. You started, and Todoroki turned to look at you. You don't have to wait with me like this. You then felt a bit bolder with your words. I'll also return the scarf to you now. No need, he refused. My core can regulate my temperature, so you can keep it for now. Oh, you said, your cheeks burning as you touched the soft scarf with your hands. Thank you. Also, Todoroki started, I want to wait with you. You only stared at him in surprise as you continued to speak, so don't worry about stuff like this. Okay, was all you could say, looking away shyly. You couldn't say anything to refute him, nor did you want to. In fact, it only made you fall for him more and more. This was a huge step for the both of you, and this was the first time you two had ever said so much to each other. Then, the news had caught your attention. Starting to play from the train station's TV, the news reporter's voice echoed across the entire public area as she talked about the recent attacks when UA High School. Are you sure it's okay to be out right now, after all that happened? You asked Todoroki. You weren't a part of the class, so you weren't really involved. But the events that had occurred made you worry over you and your friends. It's fine, he said, ignoring all of the stares of the other civilians, who eyed the both of you in your UA uniforms. In fact, it made him step closer to you, almost protectively. But you didn't notice it as you were lost in your own thoughts. The teachers have been discussing a lot with us lately, and I think we will be turned into a boarding school now. His sentence made you pause all of your main thoughts. It made sense for the high school to turn into a boarding school, especially since it was a way to protect the students. But you also realized that it meant one thing. You wouldn't be able to walk with him anymore. You felt yourself freeze once you realized that this may be your last time walking with him again, and that familiar ache had returned to your chest. Other than a short amount of time at lunch, you barely hung out with him and his friends after school. being in a different class. You had started to get closer with all of them too, so now it felt like you were taking a million steps back. LN? You heard him call your name curiously. Do you think we'd be able to walk home like this anymore? You asked, refusing to look at him. Todoroki felt the worry coming from you, and he knew it was affecting him from the way he shifted uncomfortably. Even though he knew how you felt, you still couldn't look at him. Constant thoughts flooded your mind, and then, was it stupid to get upset over something like this? When maybe the next time you get to see him, you were his soulmate, his other half. How could you be his soulmate if there was no relationship to develop at all? I don't know, he said. And his answer brought you the other thought. Did he even want you as his soulmate? Turikan, you mumbled out before you could help it, still refusing to look over. You know what we are, right? There was a long silence after that question, and you felt the hesitation within him. You suddenly felt like an idiot. How could you get your hopes up so high? He didn't want you as his soulmate. Shut your eyes once you heard him about to answer, scared of whatever was yet to come. And you tried all you could to suppress your emotions then and there, so as not to trouble him in any way. I do, he said, and there was another long pause after that, but his hesitation was stronger this time, almost as if he was afraid he'd hurt you if he answered. It also seemed like he wanted to comfort you, for whatever reason, but didn't know how to. You gulped as you then realized how much pressure you were putting on him, trying to swallow down any hurt and pain. The feeling in your chest wouldn't dissipate, nor did the huge disappointment within you. You had no doubt that he felt it all, and you also felt bad, horrible to subject him to something like this. It's fine, you tried to reassure, forcing out a smile before you could answer. Look in front of you. You noticed as your train steadily approached your area. You took a few steps forward to signal that you had to go. Looks like my train is here. I'll see you later, okay? Elan. He repeated your name, looking at you in concern. It was fine. You wanted to reassure him, because you didn't want to make him worry. But the words didn't come out. You knew he had his own circumstances, and you weren't going to push it. You just had to distance yourself because you weren't sure if he even wanted you to be a part of his life to begin with. How could you force yourself into it? The door to the train then opened, and you flashed him a small smile, as if you were saying goodbye to him for a while now. He didn't like it. You knew he didn't like it from the way he had felt. Wait, you heard him say, but it was too late. The door had still closed, and you two drifted apart from each other. The heavy weight in your chest was still there, only amplified this time. When would be the next time you see him? You weren't sure, and he wasn't either. When you had gotten home, you learned that the dorms had finished being built today. Your parents had already signed the papers that night for you to move into your own classroom's building. You weren't sure where Todoroki's dorm would be, or how far away they were from yours. But you were kept busy within the next few weeks, trying to move and settle into a new change of routine. You kept all of your emotions down, trying to focus instead on the transition to dormitory life. You hadn't seen Todoroki or any of your new friends for a few weeks, nor did you keep contact with them, as you were sure they had been busy as well. You felt distant from him, not feeling any of his emotions these next few weeks. You repressed your emotions from him too, so that you didn't trouble him. And just like that, you were back at step one, once again. It felt like you two were strangers.